on memes, but thought it was maybe more appropriate to talk about this article that I've come across back from December 2017. 7 people with Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis talk about how it affects their mental health. And I've been thinking about the connection between IBD and mental health ever since I developed this shitty disease. So I thought it would be really good to talk through what these people have said and give my opinion on, how it affected me, whether I can, whether I can compare it to my own journey. I don't know. I don't even know a plan for this video, but here we go. So I'm probably not going to read all of the God, there's a lot of words here. I'm probably not going to read all of them, but we're just going to go through and pick out some major parts. So this is from Jacqueline. My self-esteem took a major blow. The person I saw in the mirror looked sad. Her skin looked sallow. She looked lost and unhappy. Oh yeah, definitely. Like, the amount of times that I'm in a flare and I've looked at the mirror, it's almost like you're just seeing some sort of skeleton, especially when you've gone through the process of, losing a lot of weight when you're in a flare. That is totally agreeable, absolutely. Then she goes on to say, when I was diagnosed, I wasn't told about the impact that ulcerative colitis would have on my mental health. It took a lot over the last 2 years to realise that the life I had before was gone and to accept that it was not coming back. I had to mourn that life and realise that I have a new life with UC. Having this disease has taken me to the deepest, darkest trenches of my mental health. Absolutely. Absolutely. Knocked it on the head, Jacqueline. So in my last video I explained how I've been dealing with depression, anxiety, OCD, God knows what else, for the past, I want to say maybe like 10 years. And yeah, this is, like I said, this is the loneliest I've felt. It is so challenging, mentally challenging. Physically challenging, yes, but mentally it's really, really difficult. And nobody really explained to me how it would affect my mental health. So I've taken it upon myself to just, practice self-care and kind of meditate and, take care of myself, because I wasn't told how I'd feel with this. I was just told, you need to go on this medication, this is what it is, blah, 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 blah. And they agree, and they know that your mental health's affected, but I don't think there's enough information. Oh my god, look at my hair, sorry. My hair's so greasy. And I don't think there's enough information given to you when you're diagnosed. It's kind of just like, you have this. And you're like, oh shit, literally. But yeah, she nailed it on the head with that one. So let's go on to Rena. Philosopher Wayne Dyer once said that when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. When I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis in 2008, it was easy to fall into a mode of feeling isolated and alone during periods of flares. I forgot what life was like as an energetic and a healthy young professional. Yes, I just think I'm going to agree with everything these people are saying. When you hear what other people have to say, you're like, oh my god, we're literally twins. We're twinning! Yeah, well, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. Absolutely. This is why I have such a, I guess, I just try and see things positively. If you don't look at things positively, it's going to really get you down. And you have to look at your situation from a different light, from an outside perspective. One of the things I came across, I think it was on Instagram, sorry, I got hay fever. I see a lot of people saying about it, though, is that if you saw somebody in your situation, if you were talking to somebody in your situation, how would you treat them? And it's completely, oh god, I'm shaking my camera as well. It's different to how you would treat yourself. Usually you'd beat yourself down. But you really need to look at it from an outside perspective, looking in. And yeah, the way you'll think about it will change completely. From Mitchell. I was officially diagnosed with Crohn's disease on December 16, 2011. I remember feeling a relief when I heard the news that we finally knew what was exactly wrong with me. Of course, I had no idea of what Crohn's is and how it would affect my everyday life, but I soon figured out that it was going to be the biggest challenge of my life. Absolutely. And I was only diagnosed when I was 20, 21. And to have that big of a change at so young is just, like, you don't even know how to deal with it. It is a massive challenge. So, yeah, feeling of relief when I heard the news that we finally knew I was exactly wrong with me. Absolutely. Like I said in my last video, when I was going to the paediatrician when I was younger, and they were doing biopsies on my stomach and couldn't find anything wrong, for then, years and years and years later, to find out I have an autoimmune condition, was just like, oh my god, so there is something you can do. And he's like, well, we can't cure it. I'm like, oh, but we can manage it. I'm like, oh great. And then, 2 years later I'm having a stoma because they can't manage it. You go through a lot. Nicholas. So in late September 2014, I started having frequent bowel movements. By October, it had gotten so bad I developed a small hemorrhoid. Instead of doing something about it, I hoped it would go away. By late October, the bowel movements had started to get to me. I was losing energy and starting to drop weight, and over-the-counter medicines did nothing to help. I was hospitalised Thanksgiving break and was prescribed prednisone. I swear we call it prednisolone in the UK, for the first time. I continued to lose weight and I continued to have diarrhea. I came back to school for finals week, continuing my medication to finish out the semester. Loaded up with another 6 weeks of prednisone. That's it. I took the entire break off and had to sleep most of it away due to the pain and diarrhea. I can relate to this in a sense that I started developing symptoms when I was in university and doing my last year, and then graduated, and then eventually at the end of the year I was diagnosed. I wasn't put on prednisolone, I'm going to call it, until later on that year. So my entire, last year of uni was me sleeping, on the train to uni, trying to get there earlier so I know there'd be a toilet, and oh my god, I can totally feel for this guy, how difficult it is to have to focus your mind as well on education, because the brain fog you get from all the pain, and the tiredness and the fatigue is really terrible, so I do feel for him. That's a really long one. Let's go on to Jessica. I received my diagnosis at 14, and I can still remember my doctor telling me, Jessica, you have Crohn's disease, and it is something you will have the rest of your life. But the good news is that with the right life choices and medications, you can still do everything you wanted to do and live a long, happy life. Like I've just explained, medications did nothing for me. It's a very, I can assume, complicated thing. I'm not sure you should really tell IBD patients, like the things that my gastro was telling me was that, it can be managed. Sometimes it can't, and I think people need to be aware that sometimes it can't be managed, and they need to see the truth, rather than being, bullshitted into thinking that all these medications are going to work for them. I don't think I would have struggled as much if I thought, earlier on that I might have to have an ileostomy. I think you really need to be honest to IBD patients, because not everything's going to work, and not the correct life choices aren't always going to work either. I'm a weightlifter, I don't eat terribly, I swap out my dairy milk for oat milk, and I've tried homemade kefir, and I've tried veganism, and all these different diets, and it's just not true. I think you need to be honest with yourself, doctors. Jeez, no, I appreciate doctors, but I think the way they explain it needs to be a lot more thorough and truthful, really. If we go on to Courtney, I love to see what I have made it through. Good for you, girl. I feel like I could face anything. I overcame the struggle that we all that we all fall into of pain, depression, and hopelessness by reaching out and building friendships in the Crohn's community. Can I swear? Fucking Luli. One of the reasons I've done this YouTube channel and I've made an Instagram is to reach out to other people that are in the same position as me and just learn as much as I can. I first joined the Crohn's and Colitis UK forum, and then I joined an ulcerative colitis group on Facebook, and they have been a massive help. Just hearing other people's stories and how inspiring they are to have gone through what they've gone through, and just be positive about everything. And I feel like, I try and preach that a lot on my Instagram, is, find the silver lining in things. You don't need to focus on the negatives. And obviously you can't help if you feel down about things. You can't help if you're depressed, and you can't help if you're anxious about the future. And but you can help focusing on your self-care, and you can help, just sitting there and thinking, what positives can come out of this? What can I do to make things better? You can't do everything to make things better, but I think it just all runs full circle into self-care. Care for yourself as you'd care for a loved one if they had this disease. Don't beat yourself up. It's not your fault. If, sometimes I have, alcoholic drinks and the next day I'm dying. And I try not to beat myself up about that, because at the end of the day, I'm a human being. You want to do things and then you realise you shouldn't have done it, but you did it anyway, and it's just human nature. So don't beat yourself up. Care for yourself. And I'm not going to go through any more because this video is already quite long. But yeah, how I want to sign this off is practice self-care, take care of yourself, be positive, and I'll see you later. Bye.